Hey guys, Superhorrorbro Mike here, and in today's video we explore the island of Aranirum as we try to defeat a killer spider train named Charles. But where did Charles come from, and what is the sinister backstory behind this island and its kooky cast of characters? Well, sit back, relax, and let's dive into the story of Choo Choo Charles in this episode of Horror Games Explained. Choo Choo Charles is an 8-legged spider train who relentlessly chases down and devours anything in his path. If we see Charles while exploring the open world of Aranirum, then we must launch a counterattack using a barrage of weapons unlocked throughout our adventure. Everything from machine guns to flamethrowers. Dealing enough damage sends the spider train scurrying for the hills to lick his wounds and regroup when stronger. While we are not given any concrete information as to where Charles originated from, we can garner some snippets of telling information from various notes discoverable across the game world. From a stone tablet we find, it appears that Charles existed on this island since the days of the caveman, who battled him with spears centuries ago. After laying dormant for many years, it appears to have been a mining operation that awakened Charles from his ancient slumber. When looking at Charles, we notice his train carriage features the Charles Mining Company logo. This suggests that this demonic spider was awakened in a spiritual form, then taking his physical form inside one of the mining company trains. It was a rich landowner named Warren Charles III who was responsible for populating the island with a group of miners and their families. Warren hired these people to dig for gold in the mines that had belonged to his family for generations. After Warren discovered some odd-looking ruins in one of the southern mines, he tasked his mining teams with seeking out similar structures and excavating around them. Digging around these grand ruins led to the discovery of some mystical eggs. These eggs were situated in caverns deep below the ground. Warren Charles threatened to kill anyone who went near these eggs before they hatched, but also instructed his team to kill whatever emerged from the egg immediately. It seems he was aware of a creature living inside, and the danger it may pose if allowed to live. We learn from the same notes that Warren was in great financial debt, and this may have been the catalyst which led him from seeking out veins of gold to mine and instead to turn to spider train eggs. One inhabitant of the island, a man named Greg, even believed that Warren was trying to summon an army of spider trains in a bid for world domination. Other islanders took a more sympathetic view of the man. Gale, for example, believed that once Warren discovered these eggs were connected to the demonic spider train, he then set out to hide and protect them in a bid to keep the other inhabitants of Aranirum safe. Previously, a mysterious temple had been found at the heart of the island, containing a prism with hollowed out points to place the spider eggs. The eggs seemed indestructible, but this prism acted as a weapon to dispose of them. However, their destruction came at a cost. When the islanders inserted the eggs into this prism, it released a massive energy, which summoned Charles and sent him on a violent killing spree. During this spree, it was said that he grew to twice the size and took on an even more hellish appearance. This event led Warren to recruit a cult army to guard the eggs and forbid anyone from leaving the island until Charles was destroyed. These cult members took the 3 remaining eggs and hid them in mines around the island, protecting them with orders to kill on sight from their commander, Warren Charles. Each of these cultists wear hideous masks that slightly resemble the face of the killer spider train himself. It is never revealed exactly what Warren's true intentions were. My best guess is that he sought out the sacred eggs believing they could be sold for millions, saving him from his bankruptcy. But then, at some point, Warren realized how dangerous these eggs were, and how their discovery had unleashed Charles's wrath. He wanted to cover up this information so that no one on the mainland would ever find out and attempt to salvage the eggs, dooming humanity in the process. Essentially, Warren seems like he is working for the greater good, even if it means sacrificing a few of his workers in the process. Of course, the public didn't see it like that, as they watched their friends and families perish before their eyes. We also discover that many of the islanders believed the spider train to be a demonic entity straight from the depths of hell. The local preacher even gave sermons to this effect, where he urged his congregation to consider offering up sacrifices to appease Charles's insatiable appetite for flesh. It seems that many of the island's inhabitants went quite mad as a result of Charles's presence, seeking any way to save themselves from his wrath. For the citizens of Aranerum, it seems all hope is lost, stranded on a remote island at the mercy of a killer spider train, with Warren Charles and his army of cultists safeguarding the only way to summon and trap Charles, the free eggs. Eugene, an elderly member of the community with access to a boat, sets off for the mainland, where he contacts an old friend simply known as the Archivist. The Archivist is the main protagonist of Choo Choo Charles' narrative, and we learn that they and Eugene have worked together in the past. From a note collected during our adventure, it seems as though Eugene has alluded to his involvement with the Archivist being supernatural in nature, with the two performing magical rituals, perhaps to exorcise evil that has troubled other communities in the past. The townsfolk also refer to our character as the Monster Hunter, so this suggests the Archivist has a reputation for slaying mythological beasts, just like the demonic spider train Charles. Upon reaching the island, Eugene leads the Archivist up a forest trail and to an old train depot, where he has prepared a train for them to board. This locomotive belongs to the Warren Charles Mining Company, however it has since been modified with a gun turret so that we can take the fight to Charles. As we make our way through the game, we must collect up scrap metal that can be exchanged for train upgrades. These include faster speed, higher weapon damage, and more resilient armor plating. Eugene and the Archivist leave the station and begin their journey through the wilds of Aranerum. But within seconds they are attacked by Charles, and Eugene is pulled from the train and mauled to death. In the aftermath of this conflict, a dying Eugene tells our hero to seek out his son Paul, who will give him details on how to locate the free eggs and summon Charles for a final deathmatch.
I don't have time to explain. Find the eggs. Find my son.
Now stranded on the island with their mission in hand, the Archivists must seek out islanders in need of assistance. These are marked on the in-train map, a mixture of side quests which reveal additional lore, as well as affording us new weapons and scrap, and main missions which provide the eggs needed to summon Charles. First, let's take a brief look at each and every side quest available and what each entails. Candice is a young woman who has been asked to pass on scrap metal to the Archivist by Eugene. Her mission is very simple. We just need to access the second floor of her house, unlock the door, and collect the scrap within. The next side quest sees us meeting up with Tony Tiddle, a gruff old cowboy who has a barn full of scrap for us to pillage. The third mission is a little more advanced. We meet Daryl, a brutish man who has been punching a chest to try and open it. The chest is locked up tight, and so Daryl offers us a lockpick set to try and crack it. This requires hitting several points on a rotating wheel at just the right time. Eventually the chest opens and we discover an ancient stone tablet within. Return this to Daryl and we are rewarded with scrap. In the depths of the swamplands lives the unhinged witch Lisbeth Murkwater. She tasks the player with finding a key ingredient for her stew pot, the rotting carcass of a fish that has washed up on a nearby beach. To retrieve the fish we must wade through the murky swamp while being careful to evade a monstrous creature living beneath its surface known as Barry. Return the carcass to Lisbeth and her recipe is complete, but let's not stick around for a taste test. Sergeant Flint can be found stood outside a burning barn. He explains that he built a flamethrower called Bug Spray to try and combat Charles, but accidentally set his lab ablaze while testing it out. By putting out the inferno with a nearby water tower, we are in return gifted the Bug Spray weapon, which can then be fitted to the train to help fight against Charles. By the docks along the coastline we meet Santiago, who has packed up his bags and is waiting for the next boat from the mainland to arrive so he may escape. However, he has forgotten his precious diary, and so we must travel across the island to his house, collect it up, and return it. Doing so rewards us with more scrap to upgrade our arsenal. The next character is John Flynn, a gunsmith with an axe to grind against Warren Charles III. Warren had many of his miners move their families out to the island so he could better control any potential information from making its way to the mainland. Many of these families ended up dying to the rampant spider train, and it seems John's was one of them. John has built a rocket launcher and offers to loan it out to the archivist in return for taking the fight to both Warren and Charles. To procure the launcher, we must first journey to a nearby bunker, use explosives to blow it open, and then retrieve the ammunition stashed inside. Theodore is found at the train depot in the centre of the island. He tasks us with collecting up a mysterious box which has fallen into the hands of a camp of nearby cultists. If we return this box to Theodore in one piece, then we are rewarded with scrap metal to upgrade our train in return. After making our way to the lighthouse along the coastline, we encounter a young woman named Claire, nursing a broken leg after a close encounter with Charles. We learn from Claire that the remaining members of the community have banded together and are plotting to take Warren down. They also need to find a way off the island, and so getting the lighthouse back in working order so they can signal for help is paramount. With this in mind, Claire asks the archivist to seek out 4 fuses and repair the lighthouse. Once this task is complete, it shines back to life and signals the mainland for help. The next side quest is another random one which lampoons popular indie horror game Slender: The 8 Pages. A woman named Sasha has been haunted by a local ghost in the woods. This ghoulish figure has been pinning up strange drawings of the spider train by night, and Sasha is too afraid to brave the woods and remove them, so asks if we will complete this task in return for some scrap. The mission plays out exactly like Slender: The 8 Pages, as with each page we collect, the ghost becomes faster and more relentless. Collecting up all pages seems to banish them back to the grave. One of the oddest side quests is surely that involving the pickle lady.
I ate the last jar of pickles I had in my house, and there's only 1 jar of pickles left on the island. My secret jar of pickles, locked away inside my pickle cave.
After asking us to retrieve her precious pickles from the pickle cave, we must make our way to an old mine site and pick the lock of the chest located within. Inside is the jar of pickles, and if we return them, the pickle lady gleefully hands over a bunch of scrap as payment for our trouble. Ronnie is the most unlikable character on the island. He talks down to the archivist as he demands they climb a nearby tower to retrieve a folder full of worker records from a filing cabinet at the top. These records were confiscated by Warren so that none of his workers could sue him, and Ronnie wishes to do just that. Payback for the danger that he has been subjected to at the hands of his old employer. This mission requires some nifty platforming skills as we must scale 2 separate towers, leaping between them where necessary. Eventually we retrieve the files and return them to Ronnie for some scrap. The final side quest belongs to this rather angry woman named Gertrude. She lost her husband Bob to the spider train and now wishes to see justice for his untimely demise. Gertrude sees the archivist as the executioner, the one to exact that sweet revenge against Charles, and so offers up parts of a deadly Gatling gun to help destroy him. The only catch is that the rest of the gun is under cult ownership at one of their bases further inland. So we must journey to this base, destroy the cult, and then retrieve the other half of the gun. Upon doing so, we construct this very powerful endgame weapon, a weapon we name Bob in memory of Gertrude's late husband. With the needs of the people fulfilled, it's time for our hapless hero to finally take down Charles and save the island from his murderous reign. To do this, we must collect up the 3 eggs. Each of these eggs is kept under lock and key within one of the various mineshafts around the island, guarded by the cultists that work for Warren. However, their locations are known by 3 characters. These characters are Helen, Greg, and Gail. Each of these people mark an egg location on our map, and it is then up to the archivist to sneak through the mines and swipe each egg from right under the noses of the cultists on patrol. Once all 3 eggs have been retrieved, then we meet up with Eugene's son Paul at the Anarierum Municipal Building.
If you haven't already heard from the others, the mine boss Warren is protecting dangerous monster eggs that could lead to catastrophe. While our main plan is to summon Charles into a duel and fight him to the death, we've devised a perfect trap as a precaution that may help defeat him.
Paul explains that to defeat Charles we must place the eggs in a prism located in the heart of the island's temple. This will summon Charles, though he will also become more powerful to boot, drawing power from the eggs as they are drained by the temple's prism. This is exactly what Warren is trying to avoid, but unlike Warren, Paul believes there is a way to defeat Charles. His master plan involves rigging explosives to the tallest bridge on the island and then detonating them as the arachnid terror chases the archivist across. This plan is only possible if Charles is enraged by the destruction of his eggs and sufficiently damaged during the battle that follows. And so, the plan is decided. We plant the explosives and then head over to the temple where the eggs are placed down and Charles is summoned, but not before Warren shows up to try and stop the archivist first.
Step away from the shrine, stranger. You don't know what you're doing. Just put the egg down slowly and lay flat on the ground. You'll hurt far too many people if you follow through with whatever you're planning. No! No! You fool! You've doomed us all! I don't want to die!
Warren and his cult members meet a sticky end at the hands of Charles, who proceeds to chase down the archivist as they speed towards the rigged bridge on their train. A long and perilous battle follows. Charles is now both more powerful and dangerous than ever before in his evolved hell form. But eventually the two opponents reach the bridge, and Paul detonates the explosives, sending the spider train hurtling down into the valley below, where he is impaled on a spike and finally dies. All seems well. The islanders have been saved, Warren and his cult defeated, and the spider train vanquished. However, beneath the surface of the island in the uncharted cave systems, a shocking discovery is made. Thousands of new eggs have been laid, each containing a new demonic train to rain down terror upon humanity should they hatch, meaning that this is very much a story to be continued down the line. And with that, we come to the end of this look at the story of Choo Choo Charles Explained. If you enjoyed this video, then remember to leave a like, comments down below, and of course subscribe for more horror related content. Thanks for watching, and I will see you on the next video.